Good to go. So, Martin, thanks so much for coming on. How's things with you, mate?
Yeah, good, mate. Absolute pleasure. Thanks for inviting me.
No problem. My pleasure, mate. We've been trying to get it for a while, haven't we? And I've been fucking around.
Success, mate. It's good to hear you're busy, though.
Yeah, that's it, mate. That's it. So, for people who don't know who you are then, Martin, just give us a sort of brief overview of, like, the last sort of 5 that you work in sort of adult life.
So, 31 years old, sort of come from down the southeast in Kent, where the house prices are ridiculously expensive. Rent's crazy expensive as well. Left school, 15, as you do. Dad had a building company, went and worked for him for quite a number of years, learning sort of general skills, plastering and all that sort of stuff, and learning more about the building side of things. And then that sort of dissolved, and I went into doing hardwood flooring, parquet restorations and stuff like that. Done that for 10 years, and then set up my business. Carried on doing that, done really well. Took that to 6 figures within the first year. And then, unfortunately, COVID happened, lost a load of money. And in that time, I'd done my own property as like a little mini BRR without realising what it was actually doing. And then fast forward to sort of this year, so far I've sort of purchased 4 properties, got lease option agreements going through now, got properties under management, got rentals going on. It's lease options, so now it's really starting to scale. Like once I got educated and I knew the path what I wanted to follow and what my sort of niche was going to be, I've sort of travelled up to Grimsby now. As you know, I'm in Grimsby, sort of creating a ruckus there, mate. Just buying as many houses as I can, and just when you're in the right opportunity, you can see the advantages of being in, like, getting uncomfortable with the best way to get comfortable.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm just scaling up from there at the minute.
So for people listening then, you moved from down south to Grimsby.
Yeah, 3 months ago.
On your own?
Yeah.
Don't know anyone there?
No.
It's crazy, mate.
Yeah.
And how's that been for you? Was that a good decision looking back now, or?
I'm not going to lie, I was scared. Like, I'd lived in South the whole of my life. I'd lived in the same house for 20 years, even though it was my family home that I purchased when my parents got divorced. So I'd lived in that house for 20 years, and knowing that I then turned that into a HMO to then provide the income to let me go to Grimsby, I felt sick. Like, I'm thinking, oh, what about if these people trash my home? And I was emotionally attached to that property.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've got a business partner in Leicester who's got properties in Grimsby, who we managed to sort of work something out on an agreement. So I didn't sort of just go up there with absolutely nothing. Like, I went straight up there into accommodation. But as regards to network, it was weird. I didn't even know where a petrol station was. Like, I was doing my food shopping and I was using Google Maps to find out which shop I was going to. And like, now I'm getting to the point where I walk in estate agents and they know who I am. I'm getting invited out for nights out with the estate agents and stuff like that. So it's good because you can create like a new identity for yourself. Yeah. And down south, I think there's a lot of us out there that are worried about putting ourselves out on social media, and then like how other people that we already know are going to sort of take it. Oh, Martin's changed or Callum's changed ever since you got into property. Do you know what I mean? So I went up to Grimsby. I didn't have anyone to worry about. So I started a new Instagram. I started networking as hard as I could. I went to all these different networking events, and I think it sounds silly, but the accent helps as well, because as soon as I open my mouth, I don't have that sort of like northern accent. So they're instantly interested about who I am and what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And that's the perfect foot forward to say, oh, well, my name's Martin, I'm in property. And then I've had so many conversations just from people at cashiers and stuff like that. And they're like, oh, we used to have a couple of buy-to-lets and it doesn't really work. And you get the little shinwag. But yeah, it's definitely been a good experience so far. Like 12 weeks in, 4 houses up.
Incredible.
And yeah, we're sort of achieving, we want to get to £1 million. Well, I want to get to £1 million by the end of the year if I can in portfolio.
And I wanted to touch on that as well. You said about the estate agents, like seeing them as a state putting like a story about you on, it's just mad. And it's just mad. That's unheard of, you know.
Yeah, like shout out.
I am in that. Because I used to work for estate agents, and I couldn't imagine them putting like someone who's in property on this. It's crazy.
Yeah, and the estate agents are just normal people, mate.
Yeah,
that they go home to their family, they cook dinner. Do you know what I mean? Like, they like a drink of a weekend or something. They're just normal people that are paid to sit in the office and sell someone's house. Like, they like shout out to Reason Reigns Krispy Kremes, because like in Grimsby, cause we know like they like their Krispy Kremes, and they ring me up. Like, I walked in there, the first instance that I walked in there, and just said, look, I'm new to the area. I'm looking to work with a couple of estate agents that will provide me with like good property investments. And then I'm happy to give them back to you as management properties. So it's not just a take. I'm giving back to them. And I think I went and viewed 4 houses and I ended up buying 2 of them. Well, on the first day. On the first day. So then they was like, oh, like this guy, like he's not just one of those people that doesn't get back to us. And I wanted to make a good first impression. And then all of a sudden they were sending me properties and I couldn't quite afford them, or they weren't fit to my sort of plan that I wanted to go down. So then I was raising the finance from investors and buying them on behalf of investors, and that's what we're starting to work with now. I'm more of a hub for the Northeast where I can go through, do all the project management, I can do all the build costs, I can do the purchasing and the sourcing the deals and stuff like that. And then for any investor that's international or somewhere else in the UK, we just have that full hands-off package. So it's ideal, really. And then once the estate agents see that, it's their best interest to give you the best service. So it works out both ways, really.
Most definitely. And you follow through with what you said, haven't you?
Yeah.
So that's all they want, to be honest. So what have you got going on now then? Because I know you said before you've got 2 in legals, haven't you? Completely next week.
Yeah. So I've got the house that I purchased down south, which was my family home. Turned that into a 4-bed HMO. That's just completely passive now. It doesn't really need much work. And then I've got a lease option agreement that we mentioned about before. That's a 5-bed property in Boston. So I managed to buy that for £1. Well, I got the option secured at £1. Even got him to pay his own solicitor's fees. So I think all in for that property, about 1,200 quid it's cost me. And I pay him £700 a month for 5 years. And that takes home about 2.2. So I'm going to clear sort of around £1,000 to £1,200 a month on that for 5 years. I'll purchase that in 5 years. I think the agreement was for 130,000. It got valued 5 years ago for 145. So I expect it to be about 175, 180. So I'm going to create 60 grand's worth of passive income over those 5 years, and then I'm going to use that 60 grand as a deposit when I purchase it. So that property is not going to cost me a penny, really. And then, like you said, I've got 2 going through legals at the minute. One's just a 38.5 grand house in Grimsby, just a 3-bed rundown typical buy-to-let property. And then the other one was a really good purchase that was off market, again through an estate agent, just doing the networking. And someone bought that for 80 grand last year, spent 20 odd grand doing a refurb, run out of money, and then I've just purchased off him for 60.
Nice.
And then it needs probably 10 grand spending on it, and GDV on that's going to be about 120.
Wow.
So there's small purchases at the moment in the grand scheme of things, like little 60 grand ones, 30 grand ones, but they're ones that are going to be like longevity. They're going to provide the best ROIs because they're going to be all money out, and then they're going to be providing me with a passive income for the next 20, 30 years.
So I'm interested to hear about that lease option one, because I had a lease option going through, which I never followed through with, which I told you before. But how did that come about then? Because you're clearly like a talker, you're a chatter. Was it a case of that? Was it going to Grimsby?
No.
And because they don't come about often, I think you have to, and a lot of people don't know about them as well, especially if you're just a average person who not into property. The thought of giving someone your house but them not paying for it for 5 years is pretty scary, isn't it?
Yeah, and they are, like, we call them the unicorns, because they're 9 times out of 10, in 5 years' time, they're below market value. They're basically it's like a below market value rent to rent on steroids that you own in the future. Like, it really is just like a mixed match of all the profitable, and it's like super rent as well. So you get all the benefits of all the different property strategies, but you own the asset at the end for below market value.
Yeah.
But I went to a networking event, and they was talking about obviously getting yourself out there and making people known who you are and stuff like that. And I thought, oh, okay. Went on Facebook and I joined every single landlord page on Facebook, Landlord UK and this and that. And I thought, oh, I'll flood my sort of social media with all of the property content. And then if there's anything that pops up that interests me, I'll reach out to them, or there might be a networking event that someone posts up and I can go to that. And I literally woke up the next day and there was a post at the top of my page from one of the chats saying, I've got this house, the tenants aren't looking after it, the management aren't doing their job, it's just run out of its HMO license, what do I do? And I literally just said, look, let's arrange a call. I'll try and help you first, like go through your options. And he was like, oh, I'm in Wales and this house is in Boston. And so it's like, it's about 4 or 5 hours away. And I said to him, like, what do you actually want? He's like, you know what, I might just sell it. And I was like, well, would you be interested in renting it and selling it in the future? And I pitched him the lease option then, and it solved all the problems because he's going to receive £700 now every month for the next 5 years. And I'm going to receive the rental income once I've done a few bits and bobs, got it sort up to standards for the HMO license, and it's a win-win. So that just come about by fluke and putting yourself out on social media and sort of trying to network as much as you can. And it does pay off, and it might only be once every now and again, but you only need once every now and again to make a good profit.
Yeah, that's it. That's interesting, mate. So, and obviously you've got a solicitor to draft up the agreements and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Which you can use again and again, I imagine. Is that right? Or
yeah, well, the solicitors for the creep. Yeah. That's just once. So we had a head of terms agreed. So that's basically just a mutual agreement between sort of myself and yourself, saying this is how much I'm going to pay you. This is what I'm going to do to the property. This is what you're going to get in return. This is the purchase price, and this is the length of the lease. You will then give that information to the solicitors, and they'll draft that up into a legally binding contract, which is where the £1 option fee comes in, because it has to be an exchange of funds to be a legally binding contract. And then once that's done, all you have to do is just change the heads of terms. Yeah. So obviously every property's got a different agreement, but once you've got one, you're looking for them all the time, and then you realise how hard they are to actually come across.
For some people it's perfect though, because like if you look at like 2007, 2006 or whatever, people might have paid way over the odds, and they just want to clear that mortgage. They're not asked about making any money off it. They just want to clear that mortgage, but it's not worth that today. But in 5 years, it might be, and you're going to give them anyway what they paid for it. Is that right? Is that how you sort of done it, or is it a case of, is it a bit different than that?
Yeah, it was sort of different because he wanted to make. He's a large property portfolio holder, and we're talking. He's got over 100 properties, and we're working to try and get into his pockets to sort of see if we can help him with any other properties, and just take on as many as we can that's financially sensible. But he was a business guy, so he knew how it benefited me, and his mortgage payments are quite low anyway. I think they're about 220 quid a month.
Yeah.
So obviously I'm paying him 750 a month. So he's going to be earning 500 quid every month now for the next 5 years without lifting a finger.
Yeah. So it's a win, isn't
it? It is a win-win. Obviously he knows that the management's hard, but the management is what I'm doing. So that's where I'm earning my markup, because I'm doing the HMO license, I'm doing the tenancy agreements and the vettings and any repairs and maintenance and stuff like that. That's all coming out of my time. So that's where my markup comes in, and you can portray that over to the landlord, and you can usually get a bit of a good deal, because once you start telling them all the troubles that you're going to be taking off of them, it's kind of like, you know what, just give me my 700 quid and just you can deal with the problem.
Yeah. So you're quite that's interesting, mate. That's amazing, absolutely amazing. So are you quite well connected in Grimsby now?
Not as well connected as I'd like to be. People know who I am and what I'm doing now. I said to you earlier, I'm repping the brand all the time. Yeah. People have got, like, in the gym, I still wear my work clothes in the gym, and people will come over to me and say, "Oh, you're in property," and I'm a plumber or I'm an electrician. And I say, "Okay, give us your card." I'll put it to one side, and if I ever need it, I'm just slowly but surely building up like a portfolio of good tradesmen.
Yeah.
And then the estate agents, they come in, and then when we start talking 60, 70 grand properties, and we're just sort of snapping them up, and then all of a sudden they're sending me like larger properties, and I can't afford them, but my investors can. And then when we start taking them, like I said, like, it's not long before when Reed Rain put up that post on Instagram, I had Lovell Grimsby follow me. I had Jackson Green and Preston follow me. And then all of a sudden I've got bed companies were messaging me on Instagram saying, "Oh, we've seen that you're working with like this such and such estate agents. If you need any beds, pop your head in and let us know." So I'm not going to turn the opportunity down. I pop my head in. I make sure that, I don't know, I take a couple of coffees or something just to break the ice, introduce myself, and instantly we're getting beds cheap and carpets cheap, and it's not as big as what I want it to be, but I've only been there 3 months.
Fair play to you, mate, because I've had a couple of, since starting this, like I've had a couple of messages like round the Liverpool area messaging me and stuff like that, and I haven't done stuff like that. So you're putting the work in, even though it might not seem like work to you. That is work, going and seeing them coffees and all that. That's amazing, mate. And mad interesting as well. A fair play to you for going from down south on your ones, on your build, just straight up there and just making it work. Fair play to you, mate.
Yeah, it's weird because I have these like out of body experiences sometimes. Like driving over today, I think like how my life has literally changed just within 6 months. Like 6 months ago, I was in full-time employment.
Yeah.
And now I say I don't work, but I probably work harder now than what I've ever done before.
Yeah.
But like going and doing viewings and meeting yourself and going to estate agents and, I don't know, staging properties and meeting builders and stuff, it doesn't seem like work. And I've come such a long way from a mental point of view as well, like in personal growth. Like, and it's just, where can I get, I'm like hungry to get to that next point. I think like as soon as you keep making those steps forward and you keep getting out of your comfort zone, before you know it, it compounds super quick and you're moving in the right direction. And it's just, I would recommend everyone who's thinking about sort of either starting again or relocating or a change of life direction, like try. If it doesn't work, the worst that's going to happen is you're going to be the same as you was before.
Yeah.
I can't explain it any clearer than that. Like if all of a sudden there was no such thing as landlords, I would go back to a normal job like I had 6 months ago.
Yeah.
It's not the end of the world.
Yeah. You might not see it though, but you can tell. I've literally been chatting for like 10, 15, 20 minutes maybe before, and you can just tell you're a grafter. Like you just graft and graft and graft and graft, and not many people would do that. I don't think many people would do that. Just go to one end of the country, go there, start again. But you've obviously got that mentality. Like, even though you never had the mindset before of the property thing, you had a business and you grew it to 0 to 100 grand in 12 months, which is an achievement in itself. And I know you're probably thinking, I want more, as we do. But still, that is an incredible achievement in itself. And like you say, you're working round the clock, but when you're doing what you love, it doesn't seem to feel like work, does it?
No, exactly. I'm having investor meetings at like 1 o'clock in the morning sometimes because of the time differences and stuff like that. And I'm like, back in the day, if someone asked you at work, oh, do you mind staying late until 1 o'clock? You think, oh my God, like why? I don't want to do that. Now it's like, can we have a Zoom call at 1? Yeah, no problem. And I'll stay awake and I'll be doing property stuff until 1 o'clock, like excited for that Zoom call.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest thing that I've taken away in the past 3 or 4 months is the podcasts and like the mindset changes and stuff that I've learned through just videos. And you see things on your social shorts and reels and stuff like that, just like little clips and stuff. And when you look at the successful people, there's not many people, the people that are really successful through like self-built businesses and that, they all grafted hard. And 9 times out of 10, you don't see that. Like, people might see me on social media a little bit now and be like, oh, it's all right for him because he's doing this and he's doing that. But like, I still haven't got a fridge or a washing machine at the place I'm living at. Like, I haven't had a fridge or a washing machine for 3 months. Do you know what I mean? I'm buying food daily. I'm going to the laundrettes to do my washing. And that's the sort of stuff that people don't see. Yeah. And it's like, I am constantly improvising on ways to make life manageable, but at the same time still grow. And I think that's been the biggest learning curve for me this year, is that you have to be uncomfortable for a little while and you have to go through the mud to get to the rainbows and sunshines in the next, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 years. But you have to be like mentally disciplined to say, like, if it doesn't work this year, it'll work next year. And if it doesn't work next year, it'll be, I don't know, 2 or 3 years after that. But as soon as you go, that's it doesn't work, all the hard work that you've been doing is just for nothing.
Yeah.
So that's my mindset at the minute. I said to myself this year when I go to Grimsby, I'm not going to say no. So obviously you said, oh, come on the podcast.
Yeah.
Yes. Do you want to do this? Yes. Do you want to do that? Yes. Because I don't want to miss any opportunity. And it might be that I don't get what I wanted out of that experience, but it might be that later on down the line, I get something from it. So if I can do something now and it pay me back in 8 months, that's fine. It's a good investment for me. And if I can help you along the way, then it's a win-win for both of us.
That's an elite mindset to have, mate. It is. It really is. But what was the catalyst to change for you then? When was the moment? Because like I said, you were a grafter before it anyway. But where did you realise, like, this working 12, 13, 14 hours a day? We were talking before, weren't we, about channeling your work ethic into something that's actually going to pay dividends, rather than, like, you had the parquet flooring company, I had a moving company. You can work as hard as you want and still it's never enough, because sometimes you're working super, super hard, but it's in the wrong business. So when was the catalyst for change for you? Because you were obviously curious and wanted to learn. Like, your algorithm had like property stuff on. So where was it just curiosity, or where did it come from?
The thing that sparked it in the beginning was, like, say, running your own business. You work harder than ever working for an employed person. I was the main guy for that business. I tried to take people on, but I was scared because I had some big contracts with large companies, and I built up a certain level of expectations because I was good at my job. If I employed you to do it, and like we're talking like multi-million-pound high street shops, if something has gone wrong, it's coming out of my pocket. So I ended up limitizing myself to how much I could do, and instead of employing people, I was working day and night instead. So I'd just work a job during the day, have a couple of hours kit, and go to work at night time. And I just, in the end, when COVID come in and I realised how much free time I had to do the renovations on my house and stuff, I thought, imagine if I was just doing this all day. Like, imagine my job was just doing this, like doing up my own houses, renting them out or selling them, or I didn't really know. And then I went into like paid education. Like we said, I've got a mentor, had him for a year, and that's been a great experience. And that large network of people being around so many other people that are being successful, and some of them don't have the knowledge or experience that I have, but they are more successful than me. And I just thought, well, if I can get myself around these people that, like, my strengths are my hard work and my knowledge, but not my experience. Like, my property investment and portfolio experience was zero. So I just thought, if I can sort of pick these people's brains, if I can help them with the building side of things and giving them quotes or telling them what they need to do, and then they can give me feedback on the portfolio, it will just grow from there and there. And then when I thought, the aha moment for me was when I realised how much I could rent my house out for as a HMO and how much money I needed to live. So for anyone that wants to become financially free, the first thing you've got to do is look at your outgoings and what you spend. Because it's all right having a nice car and all the nice watches and stuff like that and your expensive shoes and stuff, but if you're living paycheck to paycheck, it's crazy. And I am grateful to myself that I'm not a very materialistic person, so my outgoings were very, very low. Even though I had a mortgage and I had like all the bills a normal adult would have, I didn't have the flashy car, I didn't have like expensive holidays or anything like that. So I thought I could probably earn $1,000 a month and I don't even have to work. So as long as that HMO was to pay for the actual house itself and nothing else and just broke even, I've only got to find £1,000 a month. And then it realised that the house paid me 1,500 quid a month. I thought, well, essentially I could just never, I could earn £1,500 a month every month for the rest of my life and never work again. And then I just thought, well, what about if I get another property and then I get another one? And down south, it just didn't work. The rental side of things is high, but the house is a stupid high as well. So then I spent the time just before Christmas looking into the rental side of things, like say, getting more knowledge about ROIs and the refinancing and all that sort of stuff. And then, went up to Grimsby, realised the houses were crazy cheap, but the rental was good.
Yeah.
Like, you can buy a house for 60 grand, do a small renovation, and then rent it out for 650 quid.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy. And you can just recycle that money because you're uplifting the value of the property. And now it's kind of, my world has just expanded. And now it's like, how much money can I sort of take the money that I've got, how much can I multiply that to sort of just keep going and keep going and keep going to, I was on about creating my own personal wealth. Now it's like generational wealth. Like, eventually if I have kids and stuff, like, there's no way that they're going to go into a full-time job. They're going to be shadowing me and watching what I do, and it's going to be something that leads on for generations to come and not just it's my success, if that makes sense.
Most definitely, yeah, most definitely. One thing I was thinking though when you were speaking then, do you not have one set strategy? Do you just sort of, if the deal works, is that how your sort of mind works, is it?
Yeah, I'm very business driven. So as long as the numbers make sense, if there's something, if it's not a strategy that I'm not familiar with, like I haven't done any auction properties yet. I know the fees and how they work and stuff like that, but I would probably be a bit hesitant. Like you said, to the lease option agreement, you was a bit scared when you went to take your one on. For me, an auction property would be a bit scary. You've got all these fees, then you've got the 10% up front, and if you back out, you lose it, and you think, oh, like, what happens if it goes wrong? But at the end of the day, the numbers don't lie. Like, if you can purchase a property at a fixed rate, and you can do a renovation for a fixed rate, and you know it's going to be worth a fixed rate, if all them numbers work to produce either break even or a profit, I will do it. So it doesn't matter if it's a HMO, service accommodation. Like I've got a few rent to rent, but that was just a quick cash flow thing that fell on my lap. But yeah, I will do anything really.
Have you done SA?
I've got service accommodation down in Kent. Yeah,
No.
My business partner, he's got a few SAs. I've done a few BRR to SAs for him. So he had a couple of rundown houses. When I've left Kent to go up to Grimsby, I've lived in these rundown houses and done them up, and then we've put them out at SAs, and they work really well. Like, we're getting 12-week bookings straight from contractors, earning good money, and it just goes to show that you don't have to have like a large amount of money to get started, and they make really good returns. And like I said, the serviced accommodation is like a super rent.
Yeah,
like a house that you might get £700 for a normal buy to let, you're getting like £2,500 a month for serviced accommodation. So obviously, by the time the regulations come in, which they will, they're bringing in their own classification for the holiday lets and stuff. But I think that'll just wash out all the people that are in it for the money and not the longevity wise. So I'm not too worried.
Yeah, it's never been I have done it in the past. I've done it years ago, the serviced accommodation thing, but I think it's unless you can get the contractor market and you can do that really well, I think it's hard. It's fucking hard work, like, isn't it?
Yeah,
it is hard work,
and it's a lot of trust in other people. Like, the main thing is you need to have a cleaner, and it needs to be a good cleaner, someone that's gonna go from top to bottom with a fine tooth comb, make sure everything's as it should be. But then at the same point, if I don't know, dishwasher tablets are low, go out and replace them. If a towel stained,
get out and do it.
Yeah, go out and replace it. Contractors, you can just go on Google or Facebook if you need to and find a contractor. It's not too difficult. But like you say, getting the contractors is the big thing. But the best way to do that is just find your location. For example, Liverpool. You want to start an SA in Liverpool. Go around all the hotels in Liverpool and make a note of all the trades vans that are in the hotels, and then just ring them up the next day and say, look, I know you're staying in the Premier Inn. How about you come and stay at my house that's got all the nice facilities, and we'll do it cheaper than the hotel price. There's no reason to say no.
Yeah. I heard that somewhere once and that blew my mind. I was like, oh my God. It was about the time I was doing SA and I was down the Travelodge doing exactly that. And it does work.
Yeah.
It does work.
And it might not work the first week or the second week or the third week, but you keep ringing them same people, or you go onto building sites. You don't have to just go around the hotels. You can just go into the building sites and just speak to the site agents and foremans and say, like, look, do you have any contractors that are travelling to stay? Like, have you got any sort of workers that aren't actually living in the area that are travelling to work on your sites? And they might say, oh no. And then you go to the next building site and they say no. And then you will get one that says, oh yeah, we've got guys that are coming from Scotland or something. Yeah. And all of a sudden it gets your foot in the door. 100%. And once you've got that contact, it's easy then, because people speak, and then your confidence grows as well. Once you've got that first yes, your confidence 10x's.
Yeah,
you've got to have the grit to take all the no's. That's the big thing. And in rent to rent, you do get loads of no's.
Yeah. What is your thoughts on rent to rent?
I like it. I prefer to own the assets. I'm not going to lie. Like BRR to SA, brilliant strategy. I'm planning on sort of scaling up that side of things where I am at the moment. Rent to rent are really good for maybe sort of the man or lady that's got a lower income or is sort of just trying to dabble in the property side of things. Like the average rent, I don't know, let's just say it's 1,200 quid. By the time you've got your bills, you're 1,500 quid in. If you're going to charge £120 a night, you only got to clear 15 or 20 nights just to make a good bit of profit. And if you're 100%, you're making £1,000 a month off of a small, maybe £4 or £5 grand investment. It's going to be better than any like ISA or stock sort of shares or anything like that. So you have to get educated in it. You can't just wake up one day, go into the estate agents and get a rent to rent. You do need to speak to people that are actively doing it, or get a mentor that's trying to teach that has done it themselves. But I rent to rent, even rent to HMOs. Like, you can do rent to HMOs as well, and they work perfectly. Again, another super rent method, and there's nothing wrong with the rent to rent model at all.
Yeah, you mentioned earlier that you've had sort of some mentorship. What are your sort of thoughts on that?
So I went on the Samuel Leeds Academy. Can't force it enough. Like, it did change my life, and there are other mentors that I'm going to be going on throughout the year as well, just to sort of more strings to go. And it is, I know sometimes people don't like it. and sort of everyone's got their own opinions, and that's fine. But like I say, I did work hard and I took it seriously, it's paid off. And it's essentially that education that I have has taken me out of full-time employment to then earning a good monthly passive income for myself, and it's going to set me up now in the years to come.
Yeah, I think education is a must. However you get it, if it's from podcast, if it's from going on training or whatever. But I think it's definitely it is that you need to, don't you? You need to go get educated, whatever way that is. If it is books, or if it is training, or if it is podcasts. But I think it's that it depends how you learn. I think people learn in different ways, don't they?
Yeah.
But yeah, going on to obviously you worked in the building trade. Do you do much of the work yourself, or how do you sort of do it?
At the moment, I'm doing it myself.
Yeah.
To a certain extent. I don't do any of the plumbing. I don't do any of the electrics. That's like a professional. Do you know what I mean? You need to know your stuff to do that, and I know where my limits end.
Yeah.
And I'll delegate that really well. But any of the stud walls, plastering, sort of any of the kitchen fittings and bathroom rip outs and stuff, I'm lucky I can do all that myself. And I will do it to a certain extent, but I won't. I've got to remember now that I'm not a builder. Like in my head, I have to keep telling myself, like, just pay someone to do it. You're not a builder anymore. You're like a property investor. You're full-time in property now. So I've got to look at what does my time actually cost. If I'm going to spend 2 weeks ripping out a kitchen and replacing it all, what else could I have done in that 2 weeks? Could I have raised 100 grand in finance? Could I have got another 3 or 4 below market value deals that I could source for other investors? So it works out. Do you know what I mean? You have to, sometimes I'll bite the bullet and I'll just be like, right, I'm just going to pay someone to do it, and it'll be done, and it'll be done to a good standard. Or if I've got a couple of quiet days, I'll just pop into the house and be like, oh, what can I do? It might just be that I'm painting, but I try and get all the noisy stuff done throughout the day. And then if I've not got much to do in the evening, I'll just go to a house and paint. Do you know what I mean? You make progress that way instead.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think delegation comes a lot into it, because you can't, one man or woman can't be everything. You can't be the investor, the developer, the estate agent's contact, the sourcer, the builder. Do you know what I mean? You have to choose what your niche is and what your strong points are. And like I'm a good negotiator. I'm good at conversation. I'm like a friendly person. I'm easy to talk to. That's okay in the building trade. There's nothing wrong with that. But the strengths are in the admin side of things, getting the deals, getting the below market value. So now it's, I'll do some of it, but I'll leave it to the pros.
You nail on the head with that though, completely. Like if you can do it, if I was in your, if I knew what you knew right now, I would be doing little bits, because it's either that you go out raise finance, and if you're doing that successfully, happy days. But like you say, you've got a few quiet days. Why would you go and pay someone what would get in these? That's my opinion, but I know people think differently, don't they?
Yeah. And I've got to remember as well, I've come from the southeast where everything's expensive.
Yeah.
Like a plumber is 400 quid a day.
Yeah.
Like up north, they're like 120.
Yeah.
I'm getting them quotes 120, 150 quid a day. And I just think it's not even worth me doing it. Like if something goes wrong, then it's a quick phone call. Oh, this is leaking, come and fix it. Not me standing there at 10 o'clock at night with water squirting me in the face. I wish I just paid that plumber. You know what I mean? So like I've got to take out the southeast thought process of me, because not everything's that expensive.
Yeah.
So it's like it takes that, like I said to you before, it does take time. And even though I've excelled really quickly so far, there's still things that are developing in the background that I have to keep reminding myself on.
Yeah, most definitely. Well, Martin, honestly, your energy is infectious. It's been amazing to chat to you. I've had a good time, and honestly, like I say, your energy is infectious, and you're a proper grafter, I can tell. If anyone is looking to connect with you, or speak or just connect, where's the best place to find you?
Socials, it's martinadams_property, or if you want to reach out at an email, it's martin at m3pi.co.uk.
Well, Sam, thank you so much for coming on, mate.
No problem.
Pleasure.
Absolute pleasure, mate. Thank you very much.
Thank you.